Hi Taurus, thank you for joining me and welcome to my channel. This is your reading for the full moon eclipse that happened yesterday morning. And the effects of this eclipse are still going on, so you can still benefit from the information here. The energy from the eclipse will last for months even, so I hope that it helps and gives you some insight. Furthermore, for your sign, there's a lot going on in Taurus right now. Lilith is in Taurus, and Uranus is in Taurus, and Ceres is in Taurus. And we can talk about that as a sideline to the eclipse. For members, I'm going to do members only videos to describe the major transits throughout June, from now on until June, and do more of a spiritual reading. So if you're interested, go into the description down below and check it out, and it'll be linked when it's ready. There's already a video for members only for May. So if you are a member and you missed the notification a lot of people have, then please go check it out. So why don't we talk about the astrology? The eclipse happened in your 8th house and in Sagittarius at 5 degrees. And it happened early morning yesterday. And it was really transformational. It was very intense for a lot of people. However, I feel that the fixed signs were less impacted by it because it was a mutable sign, Sagittarius and Gemini eclipse. So the sun was at 5 degrees of Gemini and the moon was at 5 degrees of Sagittarius. So that's less impactful on a person like you, but there's other things going on that are worth talking about, so I'll mention that in a little bit. But the eclipse itself happened in your 8th house. That's a really powerful eclipse because the 8th house is often connected with endings, and it was a south node eclipse, which meant that the moon was with the south node, and that's the energy that was cut out. The south node governs things like past lives. It's very referential to things that have passed. So the fact that it's in the 8th house, which is the house of endings and past lives, and also the occult, death, right? And it's a south node transit with the moon, also extreme catharsis and closure of past lives and things that have passed. All of these things together signal that it's like a reorientation point for you to get away from something of the past, especially relationships in the past that you were one way or another tied into. Now, this could be because of marriage or money things, or it's more of a material nature, less so on an emotional nature. So you lived with someone for a while, you bought a house together, and so this is all 8th house stuff. And so if that had changed, this would be the transit that sort of describes it, the transformation of the past, right? And so the energy is coming from the 2nd house, and you have a very, very beautiful 2nd house right now. The sun and the north node, Venus and Mercury, are here. Venus is domiciled in the 2nd house. She rules it in your sign, Taurus. You're the ruler of the 2nd house. But in your chart, Gemini rules your 2nd house. So she's in Gemini. So financial prosperity is here. The sun with the north node is bringing prosperity in. There's a star called Aldebaran. You've probably heard me say on other videos if you watch the astrology. I broke up the astrology for the 12 houses and just sort of cherry picked the information for each sign that was most appropriate for them. So if you're interested in this astrology of what was going on, it's better to watch the beginning part of all the videos, and so, or at whichever ones you're interested in. And so I kind of explain different aspects of this eclipse in other places. But the Aldebaran star made the sun's energy stronger yesterday. And one thing that I experienced, speaking of this area here, now this isn't my chart at all, it's actually flipped, but psychic things. I reached very high frequencies in terms of consciousness and understanding. So you may be tapping into, like, it almost feels as though you have the opportunity to tap another plane of existence, sort of see beyond the I don't like to call it an illusion of like time and space because it's very relevant to us, but sort of seeing the bigger picture of what really is going on. So you may have been feeling those things there. And so all of these transits are kind of interacting. The sun is magnified by a star. It's projecting its light into the 8th house, causing big breaks and shifts. And if you haven't seen a big shift, but something has started in your life, a big change, so to speak, today, tomorrow, the next day, you still have this opportunity for transformation. So if there is an ongoing situation in your life that is kind of needing a resolution or resolve or conclusion, it's very likely if you confront it during these days, there will be a very big closure. Before we switch into tarot, I did want to kind of talk about your transits. They're kind of peripheral to the eclipse. So the eclipse is happening in, you know, these houses here, but in your sign, something else is happening that you should be aware of. So Uranus is in the 1st house. That's great. Ceres is in the 1st house, approaching Uranus. Ceres moves faster. That's going to be a very prosperous transit for a while. She's quite fast at transits, but not as fast. She's a little slower than Mars. So she's going to be here for a little bit, not as fast as Venus. Venus just goes straight through a house. But Ceres tends to take her time. So the conjunction with Uranus is starting already. And Ceres, just so you know, is prosperity, abundance, wealth, of a nourishing nature. So whatever you need nourished, this transit can really offer it to you. And the conjunction in Taurus, the sign of nourishment, with Uranus, novel thinking, you could have unexpected solutions to satisfaction, things fulfillment, you know, really making your life feel good and fulfilled and all that. So that's a very, very nice transit in your 1st house. The transit that you want to pay attention to, and don't shoot the messenger, but I need to point it out to you, is Lilith is creeping towards the 26th degree of Taurus right here. And that's going to create a grand trine with Pluto that's at the top of your chart. Now, Pluto's a power planet, great force and power, and it's in Capricorn. Be very, very cautious through this time of how you are perceived by others, how you speak to things, and what kind of energy you bring into situations. You have a predisposition at this time because of Lilith to get riled up and to show aspects of your personality that are not they're not yours, first of all, but they may not be flattering. And this could ruin things for you if you are too abrupt or intense. Furthermore, with Pluto up here at the top of your chart, you also have a great power about you and your energy, the way your energy is, your behavior, how you are perceived by others. It's really informed by Pluto right at the top of your chart, and that will last for 5-6 years. It's a while, you know, maybe even 7 years that this transit is going to be here. But with transiting Lilith creating an aspect to this, right, then I would be wary. And by the way, she won't be back in this position while Pluto is up here. So this is it, which is good because Pluto's not that close to your MC, so you still have some you still have some breathing room. But the aspect between Lilith and Pluto can have an explosive atmosphere, and Lilith does have a way of tempting us to believe ourselves superior. Even if you're a humble person, you may get a bit of an ego, especially in the 1st house. So when you see yourself being a little bit, you know, within your own ego and getting defensive or stubborn, be very careful at this time, because you do not want to project hostility or aggression, because with Pluto there, it could really go sideways for you. Furthermore, it's very likely that it would attract people of a similar nature, which is not your nature naturally. So you would then have people to deal with who are these very, very aggressive people who are very focused on power and so forth. So the advice with this transit is just to take it very slow, especially like social media comes to mind because people say crazy things online, right? Mind your words, mind your, just take a step back. And the thing about this transit is that you will want to, you will feel like you want to snap back. You will feel like you want to be assertive, and you don't want to do this. Okay, so be cautious. You're a force. You're always a force, but you're a force right now, and I would say take it easy. So first off, we're going to do some tarot. And I know I ended on that note, but the eclipse is very powerful for you. Let me summarize it so we don't end up on a darker part. But the eclipse is very powerful for you. And this is more of an intuitive astrology kind of tie it all in statement. I really feel as though you're releasing or have released something to do with the past pattern thinking of your life or patterned relationships, even into past lives, that have you trapped into relationships built around money with others that are holding you back from your prosperity. So, like I said, shared estate, stuff like that, like where you're tied in financially, less so emotionally and more to do with duty, money, like an estate shared between a family. There's that energy here that has been released or is in the process of being released, and you have a great force, especially for the next few days before Venus moves on to Cancer. This is a very prosperous time for you to set out your path financially and make some moves. And if you don't have something to do, like work-wise or interview, or if you don't have something going on, this is a good time for you to vision board, to set your intentions and pull away, independent Taurus, right? And you do have a tendency to be there for others through thick and thin, to the point that you're hurting yourself. So I'm just gently reminding you to focus on yourself, mind your own business, stay out of the plight of others, don't get triggered by them. You're a genius through this transit with Uranus and Taurus, whether you're a sun, moon, or a rising, it's there. So just stay out of trouble and you'll be fine, and be a little selfish without taking away from others. Just selfish in the sense of do a hermit thing, like do your own thing without focusing on others. Okay, so now these are like, have become a little theme intro reading, so it's a little bit more general. So we have these cards are called the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. I love them. I don't think it's a tarot deck. I think it's a derivation thereof, and I think it's so beautiful and powerful. So it's a contemporary deck. It's very complicated. I advise it for like medium to advanced students, but I've heard people start on it, who have just started reading, and that's okay. So, and I'm not sponsored. I know I've been mentioning this deck in every reading. It's just such a pleasure to be back, and these are one of my favorite cards, so I'm just enjoying myself. So we have the King of Air and the 10 of Wands, and this card has come up everywhere. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the book out and read the description of this card for Tarot Talk. I'll link it down below and let people know if I do that, maybe even later tonight, because this card came up for everybody, so I think it's important. Let's cut the deck just in. And then we have the 7 of Fire. So this would be the 7 of Wands in the tarot, but very different meanings. And in some ways they do sort of mirror each other, right? But very different energy. And this 12 is very similar to a knight, okay? And this is a king. And this is another Knight of Swords, Knight of Air, okay? So you have a lot of fire energy around you now, and air, which is very different than your energy, but that's in alignment with this eclipse, right? Fire, air, earth, right? So you have a lot of air around you that's pushing you in a certain direction. I think that you have a powerful insight about your life. I think you have a powerful way to see what's going on. And I feel like people are talking over you, Taurus, and I don't feel as though they're giving you space to direct your life in the direction that you want. And I think that they are comfortable with this because they're used to you going along with everything. And I really feel this is you sitting and seeing your future here. Very beautiful card. Come on, focus. I want them to see. So I see you as Taurus here. And that's a scrying bowl and a lotus. It's just full of beautiful imagery and iconography. So this is you with your insight about where you need to go in life. And despite and I know this is more like a member's message, but I'm going to tell you guys because I got it here. Members' messages are more abstract, right? Like they're more in the metaphysical plane. I try to make the readings for everybody more concrete because more people like those. But this Knight of Swords here, to me, feels otherworldly, doesn't feel human. Or if they're human, they're sort of somewhere else. And they're a record keeper. This card is called the Scribe. So in other words, it has been written or it's documented. Something about you is manifesting now. And so something about you is being carried forward by this information. And this is like a spirit guide or some type of energy around you that's documenting your path. And despite all these things, these hooks that are in you from your relationships in this life and past life, I feel like many of you have relationships that had started from when you were very young or even before, like when you were born. Like things that you sort of fell into that you didn't have control over are a part of your life. And I feel like this is represented by these energies. Strong energies that sort of dictate to you what's going on. This is also has to do with the rule of law. This is to do with adventure. And I feel as though there's energies around you that keep you in the place that you are, but yet you're moving forward. And so in some way you're breaking. There's nothing wrong with having these dependencies with other people, but I see you moving forward. This card perplexes me. So I feel as though this is showing up everywhere for every single sign, and I don't think it's connected to me because in signs like yours, I have descendant Taurus. I like Tauruses. I love Tauruses, but I don't have any transits in it, so I'm just reassuring you that I think that this is a bigger message for us all. This person, this 10 of Wands, which is not like the 10 of Wands, it's 10 of Fire, is coming in. And for you, it's manifesting, in my opinion, as some kind of wild card in the situation that you're in. I have a feeling that you're being pulled forward dramatically from something in the past towards something in the future. And there's someone with you who has a great power to affect change, a positive change, make a positive difference. Okay? Okay. So now let's do tarot cards. Okay. Let's see your message. So we have the Emperor card as the first card. I'll put 5 cards down first and then do the next message. And then we have the 2 of Swords. And then we have the Ace of Cups. Ace of Cups often means new relationship. And then, oh look, 2 of Cups. And I just shuffled. So it was looking for that. 2 of Cups with an Ace of Cups is a very strong indication of something going on. And then there's the 7 of Swords. Okay. You don't like this card. Many of you won't like this card. Not in this reading per se, but Taurus's energy is very fixed and stable. well, this card is really, really fluid, and it's all about movement. Okay, so I have a feeling that there's a relationship that this is describing. The Emperor can describe you. It can describe, especially if you're a Taurus born on the cusp of Aries, very likely that's you. Or your relationship with a partner, whether they're female or male, or a relationship with a parent, especially your father. This Two of Swords represents a difficulty in being able to know which way to go with a situation. I feel like there's been an ongoing situation in which there's a lack of direction, and somehow your relationship with the Emperor is a part of that. But there's something that comes in with very good will, intention to make things better, brighten things up, to improve circumstances, bring love, show love, and just be of a caring nature. And so I feel as though in the nick of time, as someone is about to leave a situation, which is the Seven of Swords, somebody is going to put in that extra effort. This feels like a long-standing relationship, whether it's a friendship or a more formal relationship like a parent or a partner. It really feels as though somebody has been waiting for a relationship to work out, or for that to resolve, and for things to progress to the point that they started believing that there was not going to be progress, and they started packing their bags. Even if mentally, this isn't just, I feel like more, whoever this is about, they were packing their bags. They were packing their bags mentally. They were like in their, or thinking about it rather than physically packing. It was just the beginning stages of realization that a relationship wasn't going to work because you both had put in time and it just wasn't moving. However, I feel like through this time is some kind of sometimes when people feel like they're about to lose something, that pushes them over the edge and puts things in perspective. And so it seems as though somebody is about to leave the environment, and then the other person wises up and and says the right things. Okay, so let's see the next message. 5 more cards. And I'll do them just unless something comes through really early on. Chariot. I like to see them all to see the bigger picture. That's the Cancer card. And then we have the Sun. See, now it's turning out for the better. I feel as though there's a real turnaround in emotions here. And then we have the Moon. It just feels like somebody was they weren't bluffing in a relationship, but they were not doing what they needed to do to improve it until they get they get scared that this is something they'll lose. And then they just realize that they can't go on like that anymore. 4 of Cups and the King of Pentacles. There you go. And that's you, Taurus. It really feels like you're digging in your heels. I've talked about being stubborn a few times in this reading. And that this is a confirmation. If I was a Taurus, and for you as a Taurus, what I'll say is digging in your heels at this time is actually in your favor. But do so peacefully because of Lilith, right? So with Lilith, how I would differentiate that energy is regarding something that pertains to you, something that's within your heart, then you hold on for dear life and make a stand and don't change. This energy is external. So if I want this rock, I'm going to grab this rock at any opportunity, right? That's the Lilith in the first house. I'm going to take from outside of me this because this is what I want. So Lilith in the first house is alluding to this. So in terms of things that are yours, your identity, your space, your personal boundaries, your territory, then you stay in that place and thrive. But when it comes to pushing for more or gaining ground on something, especially vis-a-vis others, whether it's emotional or non-temporal or within the physical space, just with the Lilith and the Pluto, be wary of how you go about it. Just don't be too intense. And don't be too weird. Like, I'm a big advocate for weird, but Uranus in the first house, you're weird. You think you're being weird. They just think you're just off the chains. Uranus has this ingenious air about it. And in Taurus, it's a really cool transit. It'll make you hyper creative for the next several years and really out of the box thinker. This is going to be a renaissance for you in your life. But also at the same time, not everybody's ready to, do different things. And so be careful how you sell it, in other words, because what you think is mildly weird, other people might be really shocked at it. And we are in a very conservative time right now, actually. So we have the Queen of Wands too. So a lot of people, because of last year and stuff, have really pulled back into themselves and have fallen back on their original values, whatever that means. But people have their guard up and they're being conservative. Not everyone. I think it's made people that are open, whatnot, even more so, but many people went towards kind of defensive pose, right? So you have the Queen of Wands here. There's a lot of people that are sort of there but not central, because I do feel like over this time your choices and what you are doing are very important. You have the Chariot here and the Sun and the Moon. These are incredible cards. This moon relates to the other person's or to the person's feelings. Maybe they're yours, but I feel like it's happening to you from someone else. Somebody has very powerful feelings about a situation. I think they're stubborn. And so for them to break and come out of themselves to open up and make offers, it's a lot. But I think that I see success and prosperity for you here, Taurus, this King of Pentacles. I see success and prosperity through sticking to your guns, sticking to what you believe to be true. I don't feel as though this relationship is this sort of separation that is being described here, I don't think has to do with something that's breaking the relationship. It has to do with a conflict of interest regarding a particular matter or a very limited thing. And so, yes, it could lead to temporary separation or just some things being like less close for a time, those kinds of things. But I think we're talking about emperors and kings and queens and the Sun and Chariot. So the relationships are not fundamentally fractured. And furthermore, Jupiter is in your 11th house starting right now, will continue next year. Neptune's in your 11th house. Friendships for you come in abundance. There's a lot of abundance in the way of friendships. But the 8th house could have certain changes. You don't have to end a friendship in order to change how it functions. Maybe this is what we're talking about, setting boundaries with people and going a different direction. But the Sun here is very hopeful. I do sense irritation in the past about just moving things along and things not moving in the way that they need to. But I think you're well past that energy, and I think you moved on. And I also feel as though you've separated yourself from this person a little bit, which could be like the bird came. Hello, bird, with the red head. Very cute. So separating yourself from this person somewhat gives you more autonomy and self-governance, right? So whether it's emotional or drawing some certain boundaries, you've pulled back a little bit and it's doing you good. And I don't think you'll fundamentally lose them. I think that they're going to reach out and that bond won't break. So thank you guys so much for waiting. Sorry that was after the eclipse, but I hope it gives you perspective about what's going on. And members, I will link it down below when it's ready. Thank you. Bye. I'll be back with more soon. Bye.